What's up, you dungeon diving doorknob lickers? It's time to prove that fourth grade teacher wrong by playing a flute, a lute, a lyre, and a drum better than Prince on Adderall. Today we're letting Chat GPT create the best bard build. I'm too lazy to go look up a 5-minute YouTube video of a top 1% bard player and just steal their hi, I can speak English, and just steal their loadout. Would it be easier? Absolutely. So instead, let's take the time to ask Chat GPT what it thinks the best bard build would be, and then make an entire video about the topic, and then edit said video, because that's so much easier. Now you're probably saying to yourself, wait, dude, is this for solo, duos, or trios? Also, why and how did I end up with this bald-bearded baddie? But I only have the answer to the first one. No idea. It could be for solo, or it could be for duos. I just asked the AI overlord ChatGPT what is the best overall bard build. And here's what ChatGPT had to say about the bard character. In Dark and Darker, a strong bard build focuses on support and utility. Here's a solid setup, starting with your attributes. Attributes are pretty obvious. It tells you to use dexterity, agility, and will. What I've seen from other bard players is that speed is king. What I mean by that is what I've seen by getting absolutely clapped by every single bard I've ever come across. I hate you guys. Now this is their list of the skills or their songs. The first one is Song of Courage. Dark and Darker does not have Song of Courage. Instead, they have Ballad of Courage, which is technically the same exact thing. Next up, they have Healing Hymn again. Dark and Darker doesn't have any of these song names, so I'm just going to give you what the Dark and Darker song name would be. So instead of Healing Hymn, throw on Tranquility, if you're playing along at home or whatever. Next up, they're telling me to put on Rousing Rhythm, which gives your entire team +2 attributes across the board. And finally, they say Charm, aka for Dark and Darker, Chaotic Discord, to put the enemy in a frenzy, aka, why do I keep saying aka? Stop saying aka, aka, god dang, yeah. What was I saying? Oh yeah, aka, the PvE, or the mobs, or whatever you want to call the monsters in the dungeons. They don't give us a fifth, so I'm going to put on Beats of Clarity just to give me a little bit more movement speed. Next up is your equipment. ChatGPT is suggesting a light crossbow for ranged and a rapier for quick stabs and jabs when you're close up fighting. Now ChatGPT doesn't realize that we actually have technically 4 weapon slots. We're going to use the rapier and the light crossbow like we already have been, but obviously we're going to add something else too. ChatGPT is showing that the armor, it suggests light armor like cloth and leather because you want to maintain your agility and your dexterity being the bard. Accessories are the same thing. Look for rings, capes, and things that go around your necklaces that all have dexterity, agility. You've heard it now. You get it. It even gives you a play style. Stay near to your allies using buffs and healing. Use crowd control strategically to disrupt the enemies. Position yourself to avoid direct I can speak English with the best of them, yeah. Confrontations while providing support. I'm going to circle back to the answer of it could be for solo or it could be for duos. I just asked the AI overlord ChatGPT what is the best overall bard build. I definitely know the answer now, and the overlord of AI, ChatGPT, is suggesting a support bard build, meaning that I'm going to have to wait for friends. But we can't wait for friends because we're 32 with 2 kids and a wife, and my friends don't have 2 kids and a wife. Our schedules will never match again because once my kids are off and we finally get time to do whatever we would like to do for ourselves, they will probably be having their kids. I started early. They had a childhood. Anyways, our schedules aren't going to match up. So we're going to run this solo for whatever reason. And I have a feeling about how it's going to go. Side note! It doesn't give us any perks or skill to use. So I'm just going to run with what I already had, which is Rapier Mastery or Song. Dancing Fat and Superior Dexterity, along with Music Memory and Dissonance. Alright, let's run the footage on this build solo because YOLO, you Rolo. Now, as I thought, this bard build, it's okay at best. Now, you got to take this with a grain of salt, of course. This is the first time I've really, truly played a bard character, put any effort into it. And truly, let's be honest, I didn't put any of the effort into it. ChatGPT did. And now, I wouldn't know a good bard build if one was built right in front of my eyes by the best bard player in Dark and Darker history. So, again, this isn't possibly the greatest person to do this, but who gives a shit? Because I'm still doing it. A spell that I actually haven't, well, a song that I never tried before was the Chaotic Discord, the one that I'm playing right now. It's actually a very fun spell to play. Unfortunately, I didn't realize that it has zero effect on any of the ice cave trolls or whatever the hell you want to call them, the big sons of bitches with the axes and hammers and shields. You know, the guy that's about to wreck me here in a second. Well, it doesn't affect him. He doesn't care. It affects the little people around him, but it doesn't affect the big guy. Fortunately, I had to learn that the hard way, and, well, see for yourself. Now, obviously, there's a million ways that I could have played this. 1,000,001, really. It's not the only song I know. It's not the only weapon that I have. I just didn't pay attention to the fact that the big son of a bitch coming after me wasn't being affected by the chaotic discord. I was too busy worrying about those assholes with the freaking bow and arrows that hit you and it freezes you and they do their little sound. Oh god, I can't stand them. But again, I ain't the guy for this. But fuck it again, I'm the one doing it. One thing I will say about the Bard character and the Bard build that Chat GPT has chosen for me is the speed that it brings. And not just the movement speed of the Bard, but the action speed of the Bard is probably one of my favorite aspects of this character. Especially when it comes down to the way that Dark and Darker has to be played, where movement is a huge part of whether or not you are going to win or lose your battle, whether it's against a little goblin or a sub boss or a boss or PvP. Movement, again, is king, and the Bard brings movement to a whole another level, especially if you're playing it correctly. Now, I'm not 100% playing it correctly. Obviously, ChatGPT has chosen this build. There are better builds. We know that, but we're having fun with ChatGPT. Side note, this was the very first time I've ever used the lantern shield because the last couple seasons I've played as the barbarian and I've never used one. Anyways, yo, lantern shield? Smacks. If you can get that parry, smacks. Alright, but let's step back into reality and check out how we truly play Dark and Darker by facing one goblin with a bow and arrow. You can see that I'm struggling here. I am still new to the rapier. Finding its distance has been a little bit troublesome for me. Finding the correct in and out combination has been a little bit troubling, but I'm starting to see that the rapier is a very good cheesing weapon, especially with that forward thrust. We'll figure it out eventually. We got a real close brush with death here against this goblin. My health is low. The cave is collapsing. I'm not going to lie. I was a little bit panicked, but let the movement speed take hold. Use that wall as the advantage. I knew there was a rope around the corner, so thankfully we got an exit out of this video. This would have looked really bad if I never made an exit. Now, one thing we all need to remember being a Bard character with the action speed boost is that action speed, the dexterity, that goes with your bow, people. So that thing can go quick. Your drawback and your firing rate will be faster. Not only will your drawback speed be faster, but so will your reload speed because Voodoo Bards have what's called resourcefulness. Now, you still got to hit your shots, obviously. There's good shots, there's bad shots. You're going to see some good shots and some bad shots here. Now, bad arrow shots are one thing, but just being played out bad is another. But then having a shield that a wolf can go through doesn't make too much sense either. Iron Mace, what are we doing here? Wolves shouldn't be able to bite through my shield. This was very upsetting. And what better way to fully test out the ChatGPT's Bard build than some PvP against another Bard build? I am going to take full accountability for what happened in that PvP battle between two Bards. That wasn't ChatGPT's fault. I think that I had that guy. I don't know how he survived. That's BS. I hit more shots. I got a couple headshots on him even. But whatever. He got me. But I ain't blaming that on Chat GPT. There you have it. Chat GPT picked my bard build. Tune in next Monday where we find out how Chat GPT is going to build us the best mage build ever. But until then, tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your uncle, tell your auntie, tell your grandma, tell your grandpa, tell your primo and primas to come by, click that bell, that thumbs up, and that subscription button. And if you're feeling low on energy, be sure to check out Freshen Up Energy. Use code GENX at checkout for 20% off. Thank you. I love you. Remember, be good to people.